Hi, welcome to Jessica. I'm your host, Jessica Rector. Today we're talking about a topic that is extremely important, so call everyone you know and tell them to come and watch. We are going to talk about suicide. We're talking with someone today who actually has tried to commit suicide, and who actually has gone through the aftermath of someone she loved committing suicide. And I myself have waited 13 years to talk about this topic and my experiences with it. So please welcome my guest today, Diana Marie Farah.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, you're welcome. I've been waiting to talk about this subject myself. It's such an important subject to get out there.
It is.
Because there are so many details that families, friends, and parents need to know of what to watch out for so that they can be there and help.
Right. Tell us a little bit about your daughter.
Shiloh was 21 at the time. She had gone through many, many years of depression. She was exceptional. She sang beautifully. I mean, she won Disney's Creativity Challenge in 8th grade for singing. She passed SATs when she was in 6th grade, but emotionally she had never grown to the point of being enough for herself.
Right.
She was always looking for that pat on the back and that acceptance from her peers. I came home one day, I had just gotten out of the hospital, and she was very depressed. I was upset with her, and you know, as a parent you want to kick yourself. Right. Because you look back and you say, if I had done this. You can't do that.
Right.
You have to move on, and you have to make a difference in the world with what has happened in your life, not let it hold you back.
And I think that's really important, because I think a lot of people take something as important as this and a topic which seems to be taboo in today's society, and they just sweep it under the rug because of the shame or the guilt or whatever, and therefore they don't let their voice get heard to other people that it may help.
And it's so important.
Yes.
It is so important. The only way to get this message out and to have not only the teens but the parents and the teachers, everyone, to come together to make a difference. Because you know, one of the things I hate the most, Jessica, is when you hear, oh, it's such a selfish act. It isn't a selfish act. It is an act. Having been there myself, right. You are in such a deep, dark tunnel that there's nothing else you can see. Nothing makes sense to you. So these people that say, oh, it's just an attention-getting device, yeah, it is attention-getting, because you don't know what else to do.
That's exactly the point. You don't know what else to do, and you think that, I mean, when you're in that state, you think that life is hopeless and there's nothing to look forward to, because you're in that moment right here and you're not looking to the future. Everybody says, okay, live in the moment, enjoy life. But the thing is when you are living in that moment and it's not a joyful time, you tend to be very depressed and sad, and you don't know how to look into the future and to get out of it.
Exactly, and that's where that attention that they say you're trying to get, yeah, it's attention because you need somebody else from the outside to step in and take the chance
Right.
of getting you help.
Right.
You know, you might go kicking, screaming, whatever, but if you don't have someone from the outside that cares enough to make the difference and get you to that safe place.
And I think that's also key, is that you, as a person who attempts, wants to know that somebody cares that much about you, wants to know that you are still wanted and needed in this world. And that's kind of like where the attention, you know, when people say you're doing it for attention, that's kind of where that comes from. But one person kills themselves, commits suicide every 17 minutes.
Yes.
So if we can just get this word out and prevent one, we're doing what needs to be done.
You know, and what's really pretty scary is the statistics have risen. Since 1999, I believe it was the 6th most number as far as deaths for teens. Today, it's gone up to the 3rd, which is really pretty sad.
That is.
And I attribute it to a lot of peer pressure. Today's kids have so much to live up to.
Well, not only that, but they have access. I mean, you know, the accessibility is so much easier for the ways to try and kill yourself. Guns,
Exactly.
pills, all that stuff is easier to get a hold of. Which brings me to the point that firearms is used the most. Men use firearms the most when they commit suicide. Men commit suicide 4 times more than women, but women attempt 3 times more than men.
That's right.
But men actually go through with it because they're using the firearms to achieve it.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to kind of get out there is the attention-getting device you need as a parent in particular, and I'm talking a lot about teens because I've been there with them.
Right.
But you need to be able to sit there and listen. You need to recognize the signs of when your
Which
child...
are what?
When they start dressing different. They're not as outgoing. They sleep a lot, or they're up more.
Right.
Their grades fall. You see them unkept where they used to always be up and
Right.
going.
Aggressive behavior.
Exactly. There's so many different signs, and you can find a lot of this on the websites. If you look up teen suicide on the search engine,
Right.
you'll find a lot of helpful hints from the AMA on down to...
But tell us a little bit more about parents needing to listen.
As a parent, one of the things we most want to be able to say is, oh, that's silly. Look how beautiful you are. You're popular. You're this, you're that. We don't need to hear that. They don't need to hear that. They need an ear. They need you to sit there and hear every word that they're saying. If you shut them up, if you make fun or laugh or say this is silly,
right.
the chance of them coming back to you are slim to none. When they come to you the first time, you as a parent need to take the action.
And I think that's very difficult for parents because parents tend to be judgmental, they tend to criticize, they tend to say, oh, no, that can't be true, and the child just wants their feeling to be validated and to be heard.
Exactly. Another thing is, with peer pressure being what it is today, one of the things and to me, I also associate not only suicide, but when you look at Columbine, or you look at, I hope it's okay to bring up Mark Hacking. Mm-hmm. Look at the stress he was under to prove that he was everything his parents and
right.
brothers and family wanted him to be. So much so that when The Secret came out, the only way he found to get through it was to kill his wife, the only person that knew the truth.
Right.
The possibility that he killed his wife, you
right.
know, since it's not proven yet. But the same thing, to me, it's all about peer pressure. If you don't fit in, you don't fit that little cookie cutter mold of what everyone thinks you should be, you tend to withdraw.
And it also comes, you know, from self-esteem in that playing. A lot of it, and we all know that teenagers are very insecure by nature, and you know, they're trying to do this to please this group, but they're trying to do this to please this group, and they just feel like that where else can you go? You can't please anyone.
I think it's important that parents realize to step back a minute. The way your child dresses is not as important as how they feel about fitting in.
Right.
Now, yeah, you don't want them going to school with the short skirts and looking, you know, beyond their years. But if they want their pink hair or their this
right.
to fit into their group, that is so non-important in life as compared to the pressure they'll get for not fitting into their group.
Well, but then it's also pressure from your parents to be different
exactly.
than what you want. They don't want you to have pink hair, so it's pressure from them. And as a teenager, you just sit there and wonder where is it that you're fitting in?
And I guess as a parent, if you could step back from that
yeah.
and let them be who they are, mm-hmm. let them do what they need to, because they're at school. They know who they are and that they're either not fitting in with that group or, you know, they need to have some self-expression.
So how do you know if their clothing or their hair or something like that is supposed to be a warning sign?
I would say more if they're not doing what they're used to be doing, if they're starting to rebel, if there's drugs, alcohol, they're doing things that they've never done before, their
right.
grades are falling.
So if all of a sudden they start changing their hair to pink and start dressing in all white or something.
Let me tell you an example with my
okay.
daughter.
Perfect.
For a long time, I fought with her about how she dressed or how she... I realize now, like the trench coats.
Right.
When they don't fit into a certain cookie cutter mold with the sophisticated girls or the preppies or whatever
right.
the terms are today,